Anyway, she puts me with this other psychologist, and this psychologist is really open and very aware and very familiar with NDEs and stuff like that. And I see her for about 2 years, and she starts talking to me about, I have two choices. One, if I stay in this metaphysical, in this spiritual world all the time, I'll eventually wind up being medicated, and I'll lose that. And if I stay into this physical world, I'll lose the spiritual side of what just has been reborn in me. So she said, you have to learn how to have one foot here and one foot there and create a balance. And whilst I'm seeing her, I meet Dr. Newcomb, who was one of the psychologists that worked with Dr. Bruce Grayson way back in the beginning of IANS. And she agreed to see me for a year, and she kind of finally taught me about what an NDE was and things like that. And she actually took me to my first IANS meeting in South Florida in the hospital. And so I became completely aware that I wasn't the only one, that I wasn't isolated. And I had made a decision at that point while I was seeing her. And the decision was, I embrace what happened as a truth, or I didn't. And then I would have to say that something was wrong with me. Anyway, I embraced it. And since I embraced it, my life has become incredibly peaceful and calm and filled with so much joy and happiness. You do change. So my wife that had taken me to the hospital became my ex-wife. She would always keep saying, where's the old Joe? I didn't marry you. I don't know who you are. And while I was thinking, now you have a better version, a more spiritual version, I think she was more conscious of when I was very competitive and aggressive and wanting to make money and have material stuff. And now all those things didn't matter to me, you know? And so that's kind of like what happened. And that's kind of a bit of my story. And like I say, a story never begins or ends. I am not my story. My story started way back when, in the beginning of time. And it's my parents, my grandparents, my great-grandparents, and all my siblings, my cousins and nephews and nieces, everybody that is integrated into my life is a part of me. And I realized that in my experience of death. My story started a long time ago, in the beginning. And I'm integrated into that story by virtue of my ancestral truth. And so I have an understanding that I'm just a part of something so vast and so beautiful. And so when I relate these things, I just feel like I'm opening up a book and I'm going into page 1850. Because all those other pages are part of my story. And all those other pages intertwine all of us at one point. And the differences all disappear. And we migrate into that space where I would say we become whole. I don't say we become one. When I died, I didn't become one, I became whole. And what that means is that I became part of everything. And I have that understanding that when I see that bird outside, that's me singing. That's me flying. When I feel the breeze, that breeze is me touching me. When I see the light, sun, sky, those beautiful sunsets and rising suns, I know that's me waking up and going to sleep. So the experience changed me in that way. I lost the sense of one, the sense of I live in this body and I'm independent of everything else. And I have a very profound sense of being, even that ant, that so we walk and step on without even being aware. And so that has been the most dramatic change in my life. And of course, like the story, I don't believe in journeys either. I'm in a constant state of one, of this moment, this moment, this presence. That's where I always am. I'm not in the past, I'm not in the future, I am always in this one space. And when I think about the past, I'm just moving into myself. When I think about the future, I'm also moving within. From one perspective, I'm looking at used potentials and what I did with those potentials. And when I look in the future, I look at unlimited potential. So I guess what I'm saying is we all have unlimited potential. We're always in that moment where we're fusing, moving from one second to the next. And the way I view life is almost like viewing a strip of film. And in between each frame is a space. And that is moving at an incredible speed in nanoseconds. And each one of those gaps is what holds me connected to the Creator. And that's why when we move on, we never get lost. And so that's kind of like my experience of where I was and things like that. My experience had the ability to change me in many ways. So I look at it from that perspective, and I think that's kind of like, you know, when I start thinking about what is life, why am I here? Do I have a purpose? And I look at life very simply. I think we like to make things very complex, and if it's not complex, it's not right. And I look at life very simply. I don't need to know my purpose, because my very being is my purpose. Everything I do becomes my purpose. And so I've been able to acquire a tremendous sense of peace and calm when it comes to living. I don't worry about a lot of things because I know they're not really that relevant. I know when I'm going to move on and my Father comes for me, or I could take on my memories. So I think our purpose in life is to make good memories, if there is a purpose, because that's what we could take with us. And I have an understanding that I had only been dead for 5 minutes. So maybe someone that's dead for 20 minutes goes deeper into that. And, you know, they become what I imagine would be whole and become everything. Kind of have that consciousness. You don't lose consciousness.